future properties. What are you guys investing in right now? What are you guys planning on doing? Let's start with Jenny, and then we'll go to Bronwyn. Let's get our own views now, because it's one thing to have an opinion, but isn't it another thing to actually say what we're doing, which really is the proof of the pudding, isn't it? So Jenny, what is your property focus, and what are you buying next, and are you buying next?
Okay, so as I said earlier, we have a 5-year plan to retirement. And as part of that, we are selling anything that we've got out of area. We live in the Southampton area. I only want properties that are on my own patch. We're selling them one a year because of the taxation costs. We're turning eventually our HMO properties into single family lets. We're making it very easy for ourselves. I want 3 or 4 bedroom houses that families can move into and stay in long term whilst their children are at school. What we see from the portfolio that we have at the moment are that the 2 beds probably have a lifespan of 4 to 5 years for a tenant, because they go in there as a young couple and then they have a family and then they have the second child and it's not big enough any longer. The 3 bedroom houses we have tend to have tenants in them for a very long time. So we're turning eventually our HMO properties, which we will sell, into reinvest that money into single lets. And we will be holding a very low leveraged portfolio, reduced numbers of properties than we have now, but with minimal leverage. Because that will then be safe retirement income, and we're looking for long-term family homes. Because we're at that stage in our property journey. We've been doing this for over 20 years, and we're of an age now when we want to make things easy. We've tried all sorts of things, and it's been exciting and it's been fun, and sometimes it's been scary. But now we are looking towards comfy retirement. And we are currently buying a 3-bedroom house locally to us. And we already have a tenant. We had a tenant in mind, focused, before we chose that property. And that property was chosen almost with the help of that tenant.
Yeah, there we go. Wonderful. That's great, Jenny. And, you know, again, everybody's different, aren't they? So for me, year 6, I've got HMOs, holiday lets. The holiday lets are doing really well. It's interesting. I'm finding that some people who've got larger properties who want, rather than move house, they want to renovate their house. So some people are literally gutting their houses, building extensions, and that family needs somewhere to live. So I've got 2 holiday lets in my village. One's let for 4 months. I just had an inquiry for the one I'm actually living in at the moment, or they want it for 3 months. So that's really interesting. So the holiday let for me has become more of a sort of, oh, this is somewhere where I can live whilst my house is being done up. Great market, because it's short-term letting. We get really good income for that. I'm buying at the moment. I'm buying a 7-bed HMO that's next door to one of my guest houses. So I have a guest house business, short-term letting, mainly for emergency housing for councils. So that's been a fantastic strategy during this COVID lockdown, because, you know, councils they don't have the resources. They need to place people and street homeless as well. So that's been quite a big growth area for me over the last couple of years. So I'm expanding that business. That's a trading business, very different. And because all my other properties are highly mortgaged, interest-only mortgages, I want to try and pay debt down. So I'm doing developments. I'm just selling 8 houses at the moment. I'm looking for a second planning permission for 6 houses. And I put a bid in on a property that is with a receiver. So a receiver's selling it because the people went bust. So I think there'll be opportunities there where people, unfortunately, have overspent on deals and can't see them through. So that's going to be my focus.
Who's next?
Thanks. Well, it's a coincidence, like Jenny. I'm looking to retire at age 40, and so the trouble is, I've got a lot more properties to sell. So selling at one a year, I'll be 80 before I can get rid of the damn things. But hey, that's life. I'm looking at small developments, developments of properties less than a dozen, so I can avoid Section 106, keep it simple. Really looking at it as a buy-to-rent strategy. If you don't know what that means, by all means, give Bronwyn a call. I'm still looking at HMOs in my local area because that, I feel, is a way to go because certainly Birmingham is definitely going to be a growth area with HS2, and it's got a large youthful population and student population, which will be looking to stay in the area. And then lastly, I'm looking for large properties on a large estate. I say it's a large estate with land up to about 10 acres. I'm looking to future-proof for the family. So we're looking to migrate and have several generations on one plot of land. So that's what I'm currently looking at the moment. So if you've got any land in Oxford area, within about 10, 15 miles of Abingdon, then by all means, give me a shout. Thank you.
Simon.
Check that out. Much like Tim at the moment, I think really in terms of sitting on my hands. Although I'll temper that within the background, I'm in the middle of working with a group of individuals. We're setting up a passive housing development company and just going through looking at some sites. I understand right now isn't necessarily the right time to start building out, but we're putting all the framework in terms of systems, etc., the people together, and starting to look at sites with the view that once we know exactly where the market is going to sit, if it is bottoming out, where it's going to finish bottoming out, and then looking at ways that we can passively build at roughly the same build cost as your standard average house, but create additional value on a site. So find sites that don't necessarily stack up currently at the moment on normal resale values, but with higher end resale values of passive houses, then stack up and kind of do sites of between 5 and 10 to 12 houses per site. So if anyone on this YouTube, Simon, not Facebook, I'm back in the crowd. Yeah, no. If anyone knows of land in the southwest area, please do reach out. Tim.
Yeah, going back to basics, I think I'm relying on the basic laws of property. Number one, a bargain is a bargain. So at the moment, there may be bargains available. I think they're few and far between, and there'll be more next year. Number one for me, property is a medium and long-term investment. Unless you're doing things like flips, it's medium and long-term. So I think there's a danger of getting too worried about what's going to happen in the short term. Thirdly, it's all about yield. If you're not looking to sell, it's all about yield. And again, I think you have to be very careful when you look at yield, because suddenly things are changing. Holiday lets died for a while, now are coming back. Is the high street dead? Are offices dead? So I think even the question of yield is nowhere near as easy as it once was. And lastly, if it's all add value, because there are so many people who just want to buy property at its real value, but actually need to add value. So what am I going to do? Well, as I said earlier, I want to be very adaptable. I don't know what's going to be like in 6-9 months. I have no idea what the economic circumstances are going to be. I've got my best guess. I don't know what the government will do. You know, in the last week alone, they've virtually ripped up the rule book in terms of planning, which has changed, bigger more changes since 1947. And that's just the last week. So goodness knows where that'll lead us. So there could be all sorts of opportunities. So broadly, I'm going to sit on my hands. Unlike the other guys who've got their plans until they're 40, I'm being a bit older. So I've got a 12-year plan, which should take me to my mid-90s. So I should be all right. And what I'm doing personally, I've been clearing debt, and I've got a property, a block of flats now with no mortgage. So at some stage, I'll be looking to mortgage that, raise cash, and do something next year. But I have no idea what. But there will be bargains, I'm sure. But I want to be adaptable and jump in when someone else has created those opportunities.
Yeah, I'm just a final point on that. I'm going to agree with Tim that there are plenty of opportunities, but for me, next year. So I'm not looking at properties this year. And indeed, I'm looking further afield. So I'm looking at the US and looking at the kind of yields there. The property price in the States, you can get a lot more property for the money you can get in the UK. And the yields are better. So the yields, funny enough, in the States is 15%. So it's a lot more than you can get in the UK. So we're looking at doing things like that, a bit more exciting properties. Simon Hodgson may not be able to get me a mortgage over there, but we'll get him over to the States. In fact, we might even do a little YouTube channel over in the States together. That'd be quite cool. Hey guys, to do that. So that's my view. So